Home and our homestead is our favorite place, but we also wanted to create a world where it would be possible to get away from time to time to do some traveling and family trips. We just spent the last week at the lake, which we'll share a little bit more about and how we made that work with our homestead at the end. But since getting home, we've been taking lots of walks around our property to see where things are at, especially with our gardens. It always seems like things explode overnight this time of year. The Three Sisters garden is looking great and doing exactly what it's supposed to. We were happy to see that the sweet corn we grew, instead of our usual dent corn, is still growing up nice and tall and making a great trellis for the beans to climb up. The potatoes and sweet potatoes are flowering, and probably the most exciting part for us is the abundance of fruit loaded up on our fruit trees this year, especially our peach trees. The other thing we have that's ready to be harvested is our plums. We'll mainly use these for fresh eating, but Joelle may turn some into preserves or freeze them. Some of our early varieties of apples will need to be harvested in the next couple of weeks, while the later varieties are still a couple of months out. In the kitchen garden, the tomatoes need to be trellised again, peppers need to be harvested, as well as basil to make more pesto. The cabbage is looking okay, but the cabbage moths are out, and so we're going to be looking for a netting option for it. The carrots and onions are coming along nicely, and before we left for vacation, Joelle pulled out our lettuce, so we are going to plant a round of fall lettuce here. With the drip irrigation installed, we felt pretty comfortable leaving for a week, and everything looked great when we got back. There will be a good amount of harvesting to catch up on this week, but it's nice that this window fell before our tomatoes, fruit trees, and storage crops were ready to be harvested.
So about a month ago, I started a new morning routine and it's been an absolute game changer. So what I've started doing is first thing when I wake up before I eat breakfast is drinking a glass of room temperature water with a splash of lemon juice and a sprinkle of salt. And the reason I started doing this was 4 or 5 weeks ago when I entered into kind of that third trimester time, I started noticing my feet and ankles were really starting to swell up, especially when I'd be on my feet a lot in these hot summer days. And that's pretty typical for me in all of my pregnancies. I think I've struggled with, third trimester, swollen feet and ankles, but it's really annoying. I don't like it, and so I wanted to see if there was anything I could do to make it better. And so that's why I started incorporating this, and it's been huge. Actually, from the day I started doing it, I noticed that I've had significantly less swelling in my feet and ankles, almost to the point where it's not even noticeable. But this hack of starting the day with a glass of water and lemon juice and a sprinkle of salt isn't just for pregnant women. There are actually a lot of health benefits for anyone to do this. The main one that I hear about is around digestion. So starting your day off with lemon juice, which is highly acidic, really helps to kickstart that digestion process because you need acid to break down food. And then the next one is hydration. So most of us are dehydrated, and starting your day off with water and electrolytes is gonna help with that hydration status throughout the day. And then the last one is that lemon juice is really high in vitamin C and antioxidants, giving you an immune boost in a way that is not full of calories and sugars like other fruit juices like orange juice would be. So making this is really simple. I just fill a glass of water with water from our Berkey, and then I put a splash of lemon juice in it. This is the organic lemon juice from Costco, with the only ingredients being organic lemon juice. You could also use fresh squeezed lemon, but we don't go to the store that often, and so this Costco lemon juice works great for us. And then I use a sprinkle of real salt, and that's all you need.
One of the things we fully intended to do before we left on our trip was to give the house a good cleaning. We did a little putting away and organizing, but as far as any real cleaning, it didn't happen. We were just happy to get everyone out the door, hoping we had everything packed. So little by little, we'll chip away at the cleaning as we get settled back in here. Today, I'm going to tackle our kitchen sink. I love our white fire clay farmhouse sink, but as you know, it's tricky to keep anything white clean. And this sink gets a ton of use, so we're due for a cleaning. So to do that, we're going to use our favorite safe, non-toxic cleaning products from Branch Basics. First, I'm going to sprinkle a little of their oxygen boost on the bottom of the sink. Then wetting it activates the crystals, so I like to just do this with their all-purpose cleaner that you mix up with their concentrate. Then you let it sit for a bit and watch the magic happen as you wipe away all the grime and stains. We first bought Branch Basics over a decade ago, and really nothing else we've tried has compared. A big thing that drew us to try them out at first was the idea of refilling our own bottles using their plant and mineral-based concentrate. One, because of how easy it is, and two, how far it stretches while reducing waste. One bottle of concentrate lasts us up to a year. The different cleaners and soaps you mix up are super effective, but we also love that they're baby safe, especially with another one on the way. Then we tried their oxygen boost, and we haven't stopped finding uses for it since. The basics like sinks and toilets come out spotless, it's a great stain remover on clothes, and lately I've been using it outside to clean things like stock tanks and chicken waterers. And if the product alone wasn't enough, we've also been blown away by the authenticity and transparency by the people behind Branch Basics. They are still a small, family-run business and committed to making high-quality products that are people and pet safe, plus they're 100% biodegradable. We just got their premium starter kit and are loving these glass bottles. And we're super excited to give their laundry detergent a try too. Use our code FROMSCRATCHFARMSTEAD to get 15% off starter kits and laundry detergent for first-time customers.
When I think about preparing for baby, yes, there's a little bit that needs to be done in terms of making sure we have clothes and everything needed for baby, which is actually very little, and birth supplies ready, but I'm primarily thinking about how do I prepare my body and set things up well for our family to go through this transition while staying well nourished, happy, and healthy. Truth be told, when I hit my third trimester, I started noticing feeling much more tired than I had all pregnancy up to this point. And while I know that some of this is normal, and also that it's been a really full and pretty exhausting summer, it was a more extreme sort of tired that I wanted to find the root of. So I had some blood work done, and lo and behold, my iron was low. Which, if you've been around here for a while, you know how much I emphasize protein, nose to tail eating, and getting in regular organ meats. But I have to confess that in the busyness of planting season, I ran out of the liver that I had prepared in the freezer and had gone the whole summer so far without it. I had some liver capsules on hand that I started taking immediately after getting the results from that blood work, which has made a huge difference. But as soon as I got home from our trip, I knew that one of the things that I wanted to do was get a bunch of liver stocked up and ready to go in the freezer. I make a really basic liver pate that I freeze in small amounts to pull out, and then I add a spoonful, about a half an ounce, to my eggs every morning. To make the pate, I saute onion and garlic first and toss that into our Vitamix. Then I sear the liver. I want to preserve as many of the nutrients as I can, so this is not something that I cook to death at all. This liver is actually from a cow that we raised here on our farm, so I know exactly where it came from and what its diet and life looked like, so I feel very comfortable eating it a little on the less cooked side. After the liver is sauteed, I add that to our Vitamix blender with some salt. A food processor would also work well for this, and turn it into a pate. To freeze, I just scoop it out or pour it out into silicone muffin cups or these mini loaf pans. And then once they're frozen, I store them in gallon-sized Ziploc bags in the freezer and pull them out one at a time. Each one lasts me about 4 or 5 days. Anytime I talk about the benefits of liver, I always get some sort of criticism or pushback. People asking, isn't the liver where all the toxins are stored? Why would you want to eat that? And while the liver's job is to filter out toxins, it does not actually store the toxins. Toxins are typically stored in the fat of the animal. But the liver is actually more nutrient dense than any other part of the animal or really any other food out there. And I will continue to sing its praises because of how important it's been in my own journey of getting pregnant and growing healthy babies. And actually, this made me so happy. I just had to share this encouragement. Someone recently commented on a video that we did in January where we shared more of our journey of struggling to get pregnant to now being pregnant with our 5th child and the things that we did along the way that made the biggest difference. And she shared how her and her husband have been trying to get pregnant for 6 years, and she started adding liver just like I talked about in the video, and within a few months she was pregnant after just making this one change.
It's really hard to explain the joy of walking past these peach trees and seeing them this loaded up. We planted 4 peach trees almost 4 years ago, and for whatever reason I had my doubts on if we'd ever get peaches. Apples, those seem like a sure thing, but peaches have this reputation of being more finicky, needing all the right conditions. Maybe it was just the ideal winter and growing season, but these peach trees have just exploded with production.
Another couple days we're gonna have a lot of peaches, guys.
Yeah.
Peach!
Can't wait to eat one this big, like doorknob.
Alright, well, let's go get the plums. Did anyone check this tree? These ones are still a little small.
Did you see the plums? Oh, these ones are pretty ripe. Mom, I'm pretty sure these are.
Yeah, these are softer.
This one's too furry.
We have 2 Red Haven trees that have started ripening up and will be ready to be harvested in the next week or 2, along with these Reliance peaches. Then we also have a Contender peach tree that's more of a cold hardy tree and won't be ready for a few weeks still. Since we've never had peaches this abundantly, if you have ways you love to preserve them, please send them our way. In the past, Joelle has sliced and frozen them for smoothies, but we'd love to try some different things this year. We get asked a lot how we avoid spraying our fruit trees while still getting a good harvest, and to be honest, I don't think we have any huge secrets. Putting electric fencing around this 3 Sisters and Orchard area, as well as our kitchen garden, has been really helpful to keep big critters out. We haven't had a huge issue with pest damage so far, and I think having a very diverse ecosystem of different things growing has been helpful for that.
To the plum tree. So just get the really dark black ones, guys, not the ones that are still kind of red.
Plum down.
Do you think this is ready? I have it like one.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, it's ready now.
Because you picked it.
Picked it. That one's a beauty.
There's a lot of dark ones.
We'll check the peach trees now for any early ripe ones we find, but mostly what we came out here for is harvesting plums. Of our 4 plum trees that we planted the same time as our peaches, 1 tree, the black ice variety, was loaded up and some of the plums are looking beautiful and ripe for the picking.
So gently right. Like me. No. Just go. My peach. I'm probably gonna use this one. Who's a good one? Mommy, I think I'll eat this big juicy one here.
Sounds good, Coco.
Since peaches and plums are about the most delightful thing ever to eat, we had no problem bringing the whole family out to see what kind of haul we could get.
You think we pick more peaches or plums? I think it's about the same. Yeah.
In our kitchen garden, there are definitely some things that need attention here. We have 1 hot pepper plant this year, which should be plenty because I'm really the only one in our family that enjoys hot peppers. And I don't think we've really even checked on it until today, but it was bursting with peppers, so we're going to grab most of those.
They're popping off, so. Holy moly.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of peppers.
That's gonna have eggs for sure.
We always like to do 1 or 2 succession plantings of lettuce throughout the season. Joelle pulled up our lettuce before vacation since it was getting a little bitter and tried replanting some seed in just half of the row pretty quickly before we left. For whatever reason, that seed didn't seem to take, so we're going to prep things a bit more and replant lettuce seed. We're starting by going through with a stirrup hoe just to scratch the surface and break things up a bit. Then I come back through with a pointed hoe that I use to make shallow trenches for planting seed into. After Joelle adds the seed to the trench, we come back through and just break up some larger chunks of soil to lightly cover over the seed. We're hoping we'll be enjoying fresh salads again in a month or so.
Here are the tomatoes. Thank you. Looks good.
And last but not least, trellising tomatoes. Seriously, our tomatoes are going crazy this year, which is awesome, but I can hardly keep up with trellising them. A quick round of tying them up, and then we're going to call it a day in the gardens.
I'm now 32 weeks pregnant, so we're really getting into the home stretch before this baby will be here. One of my goals is to start loading up our freezer with some ready-to-go freezer meals. I'm shooting for making at least one thing each week until baby comes to be decently stocked with ready-to-go meals for that postpartum time. Today we're gonna make these really simple but delicious breakfast burritos. Our sweet neighbors that did our chores while we were gone have their own egg-laying chickens, so we came home to several dozen eggs that need to be used. This is a super flexible recipe. You want to make a filling of eggs and then you can add whatever meat, veggies, and cheese that you want. You could even doctor it up with things like salsa or avocado. I like to keep it pretty basic to make sure that everyone in our family will like it, and then we can always add those sauces and condiments after the fact for those that want it. Today we're going to use onion, garlic, sausage, eggs, and cheese in our breakfast burritos. Instead of buying pre-mixed breakfast sausage, I actually like to use ground pork and then turn that into my own breakfast sausage by adding sage, maple syrup, salt, mustard, and another clove or 2 of minced garlic. Yes, it takes a couple extra minutes to make your own breakfast sausage, but this way I get to be in control of the ingredients since most store-bought breakfast sausages are filled with unwanted ingredients and added sugars. We've also found that buying ground pork in bulk from our local farmer friend has saved us money. I'm gonna saute a large onion, add some chopped garlic, and then brown the ground pork and add the other sausage seasonings to the pan. And I'll get that all cooked and then set that aside and scramble the eggs. I'm actually making 36 eggs here. I found that around 1 to 1.5 eggs per tortilla works really well. While the eggs are cooking, I'm gonna shred our cheddar cheese and set that aside. And then once everything's done, I'll add the sausage filling to the eggs, mix that together, and then we'll be ready to go to assemble these tortillas. I bought these organic tortillas in bulk from Azure Standard, knowing that I wanted to do some freezer meal prep before baby comes. So to make these, we just put a scoop of the filling right in the middle of the tortilla, sprinkle cheese on top, and then roll them up like a burrito and place them on a cookie sheet. I like to line it with either a silicone baking mat or parchment paper so it doesn't stick to the pan in the freezer. Once the burritos are flash frozen, they're easy to store in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and then how I like to reheat them is to thaw them overnight and then warm them in the oven at around 350 degrees for 10 or 15 minutes until warmed through. But if you forget to thaw them first, you can also cook them from frozen. You just need to add a little bit more cooking time.
When we first moved onto our homestead in 2020, leaving our homestead, especially during the growing season, seemed out of reach. However, we realized that we really had a value for having the option to take some family trips during the summer to have that experience, so we shifted our mindset and tried to make a world where that was possible. And we've realized that leaving the homestead can be doable. You just have to plan it all out well. And one key is certainly having someone you feel completely comfortable with watching over everything and caring for animals while you're gone. The ideal is to find another homesteading family near you that you can just trade off looking after each other's places whenever either of you travel. We are so thankful to have found this with our neighbors just up the road, and we always feel confident everything is in good hands. Milking animals can definitely make getting away tricky, but we've also found planning travel during the right windows of time to be very doable. In this case, we were fortunate because Thimble's calf Hazel is now 15 months old and she's still nursing in full force, which is the longest we've ever had a calf nurse. We've always done calf sharing with Thimble, and having the ability to leave during seasons where the calf is nursing is one of our favorite benefits of it. Leaving for a day or two is typically not a big deal at all, but leaving for a week is definitely something you'd want to have the right person for to watch after things. Since our neighbors also have a milk cow, they were able to keep close tabs on Thimble to see how full she was and would have no problem stepping in to milk her if needed. In this case, with Hazel being pretty well full grown and able to drain Thimble out no problem, Thimble went the whole week without needing to be milked. The other window of time we found it helpful to travel is that usually before a milk cow has a calf, you dry her up a couple months prior to her due date. This definitely makes it easier to pull away knowing she's not in milk, and chores will be much easier for whoever is watching your place. Speaking of calving, today is actually 21 days since we had Thimble AI'd, hoping to get her pregnant. We've been keeping close tabs on her throughout the day and haven't yet seen signs of her being in heat at all. And as long as that sticks, we would expect a calf in late April, which would be super ideal timing for some travel plans we're thinking about over the winter.
Since Jim was a baby, his family has been going to the same town in the north woods of Wisconsin. So we just spent a week there on the lake filled with fishing, swimming, biking, and eating more than our fair share of ice cream with family and friends. And while I wouldn't say that we are exactly returning well rested, the change of pace and scenery does something good for the body and soul, and the memories made make it more than worth it.
What to do about this? Oh! Hey, buddy! Oh!